All right, the Utah Jazz lose to the Memphis Grizzlies, but there's something interesting going on in these games. Let's talk about it a little bit. It's the Hoops Nerd Postgame Show. All right, guys. So the Utah Jazz lose. There are only 9 games left. We're down to single digits as we head towards the end of the season, the playoffs. This was an important win for the Memphis Grizzlies. Let's just open this up. This means that I think, yep, they overtake the Lakers, now are sitting at 4. This was actually a big game for them because they are playing for home court advantage in this 4-5 matchup and trying to hold their, well, I guess you got the Nuggets at 3 here. This is probably about where they want to be because I think, the Grizzlies have Luka Doncic, but they have some flaws. They lose Anthony Davis. There's some things they could do against the Lakers with their athleticism and speed, especially with Ja Morant against a Lakers team. That's going to be actually quietly a very fun series to watch, So these playoffs are coming. They're going to be a lot of fun. We should probably try to do the live streams on the playback. By the way, if you're not watching the games with me on playback, what do you do? Search SLC Dunk, and you can watch the games with me. It's fun. We get new followers every night, and we have a lot of fun. Anyways, so this is interesting for the Grizzlies. They're not the most impressive team, though. I mean, I was not impressed. Couldn't shoot, and Utah was shooting the lights out. And the second half is when the Utah Jazz got the doors blown off. And there were some interesting quotes from Will Hardy that I think are pretty good, talking about opportunity and, he's a young coach trying to figure things out. But, there's a lot of young players on this Jazz team that really need to show that they like improvement and they want to get better, that they want to win these games. Even though the Jazz are trying to lose, you'd like to see some different development from different guys, at least on the defensive end. Now, shooting the ball, Utah showed they could absolutely shoot the lights out in the first half, and we had some really interesting numbers tonight, but you'd like to see some defensive improvement from certain guys. I'm looking at you, Keontae George. I'm looking at you, Bryce Sensabaugh. I'm looking at you, honestly, Colin Sexton and Johnny Juzang. Just some of these guys that have been on the team for like 2 years now, and you'd like to see that defense get better, and it's not always, and it's just not really improving at a high level. I think we saw some nice signs from Cody Williams tonight, and there's a reason the Jazz drafted Cody Williams. There's a reason they drafted Taylor Hendricks. Taylor Hendricks is coming back next year, and he's going to be an interesting player to watch because he does bring that defensive impact, and Utah's going to want to see what he can do. I think he's talking about a lot of guys. I know some people think, oh, maybe Keontae George. Well, there were some things I liked about, 1 for 8 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. We always look at these numbers. I think if it's Keontae George he's talking about, which is, by the way, a minus 29, it's probably the defense. And I think that's where Utah is really faltering. And it's been a problem the last 3 years, is just the defense in general has been bad. And you'd like to see Keontae George better in that way. You'd like to see Colin Sexton better in that way. Look at that. He only played 17 minutes. Didn't play the second half. So some of this might be not a lot of these young players' fault, but you'd like to see them improving. And, I think it's kind of hard, Gabriel, to know exactly who he's talking about, to be honest. Because there were some things I felt like showed some maturity from Keontae George, but if I was guessing, it was because of the defensive aspect of things. And I don't think it's just Keontae George, because there are a lot of players on this team that you would think they'd want to show out more in that way. Not a lot else to say. Actually, nothing else to say about the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm just not super impressed by them. The team, this is a Utah Jazz podcast mostly. I'm going to start doing more videos soon. I was really bummed last night. There were some things that happened that kept me from being able to do a video, but I want to start doing just like a nightly show when we don't have Jazz games, and it may just be covering all the top NBA things. And if you guys want that, that'd be great. I obviously am going to talk about the Jazz when I can, but I think that would help me just grow the channel and talk about the NBA more. And then obviously we'll talk Jazz games, Jazz post-game shows. So maybe that's kind of what this will be, because I would love to find ways to just do more videos and have more to talk about. Sometimes, I love the Jazz. I'm going to always talk about the Jazz. Post-game shows are always fun, and we always have things to talk about. But in a season like this, there's not always a lot of ways to talk about how effective tanking can be. At a certain point, what else can I say other than Utah? Like Gabriel says, we need Cooper Flagg. If we miss out on Cooper Flagg, it's going to be a bummer. But I have a good feeling. I feel like we're going to get lucky this time. I have, just thinking outside the box, esoterically, spiritually, basketball spiritually, I should say. There are a lot of signs that Utah, if you've watched Willow, and one of my favorite scenes from Willow is when they consult the bones or read the tea leaves. Or like in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, if you've watched the movie, when the witch lady that used to scare me to death as a little kid, she used to scare me so bad and gross me out and scare me. And I don't even like the idea of watching her eat some egg salad, because that's the worst thing I could ever imagine. But when she throws like egg blood or something in a bowl, you know what I mean? And then she throws like they look like Teddy Grahams or bones or something. I don't know what they were. Scared me to death as a kid. And some of the predictions that I'm feeling, like the witch in that movie, or like the wizard in, the leader of the Nelwynds in Willow. I think the Jazz have a lot of juju coming their way. The Jazz are the only tanking team that have been fined by the NBA. The only team. And they're not the only team that's been resting. Yeah, maybe the Jazz have been a little more egregious. Lauri Markkanen hasn't played for like 3 games. 2 of them were for personal reasons. Tonight was for illness. But Utah's the one who got... Okay, my mic just dropped. Sorry. You know what that tells me? That tells me the NBA's scared that the Jazz are going to win the Cooper Flagg sweepstakes. That's what that tells me. You know what else? I don't know if you guys are big Bill Simmons fans. I am. I love Bill Simmons. I would love for me to be the Bill Simmons of the Utah Jazz, right? And that's why I'm going to talk about more NBA stuff and just continue the Jazz talk all day, every day. But anyways, in not this latest one, but the one where he talked with Ryan Russillo, if you listen to it, you know those are really good. But he mentions the Jazz a little bit, and he made some comment, and interestingly enough, Will Hardy's comments tonight post that Bill Simmons comment, where he talked about like how long Will Hardy is going to be happy with what the Jazz are doing. Interesting note. And then tonight we get some really interesting comments from Will Hardy. Is Will Hardy getting sick of it? I don't know. But one thing I took from that, aside from the fact that it's interesting that Will Hardy makes lots of comments tonight like he did, and maybe it's just Will Hardy talking and thinking about the future of the Jazz and what's going to go on. Maybe we really need Cooper Flagg to come to Utah. I don't know. But anyways, the fact that Bill Simmons makes some, passing comment about Will Hardy, a lot of people, and if you've been in the blogosphere for a long time, if you've listened to Bill Simmons for a long time, if you listen to Bill Simmons back in the day when he used to give like the fake worry trolling, do you guys know what worry trolling is? If you're old school like me, you and blogosphere old school such as myself, there's a thing called worry trolling. Before Twitter was kind of ruined, there used to be worry trolling from different fan bases. Like, I don't know. Do we know if because Bill Simmons used to do it with Darren Williams, and even admitted he was just trolling. But talking about Darren Williams, like, I don't know, is Darren Williams a top 5 point guard in the NBA? And he'd say stuff like that. So whenever I hear Bill Simmons talk about the Jazz, I always take it with a pinch of salt, a grain of salt, whatever you say. So when he makes that comment about Will Hardy, I'm sure Will Hardy would love to win more games. Sure. You know what's going to help you win more games? Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg changes a lot of things. You know what else NBA head coaches really like? Job security. So when I hear Bill Simmons make that comment, what it tells me is, one, it's just a reminder Bill Simmons is a Jazz hater, which is fine. I love Bill Simmons. I enjoy his podcast a lot. But he is a Jazz hater, just like he's a Lakers hater. He also hates on the Jazz. It's fine. I hate the Philadelphia 76ers. I hate the Boston Celtics too. But it is what it is. And it's like Bill Simmons says, sports hate. It's not hate, sports hate. Bill Simmons, sports hates the Jazz. Although, who knows? I don't know. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make with that is that why would he say that? Well, it means the Utah Jazz are in very good position to get Cooper Flagg. Very good position to get Cooper Flagg. And who wouldn't want that to happen? Well, a Jazz hater wouldn't want that to happen. Like a Bill Simmons. He would not like that. Right? And I promise you, if Cooper Flagg goes to the Utah Jazz, Bill Simmons is going to troll it. And he's going to say something along the lines of, are we sure Cooper Flagg's that good? You know, he doesn't have quite the best handle, and he's not quite a proven knockdown shooter. Are we sure Cooper Flagg? He's going to say that stuff. Just get ready. If Cooper Flagg goes to Utah, get ready for that stuff. It's coming. It's coming. If Cooper Flagg goes to Utah, get ready for the hate. And it's fine. Bring on the hate. Bring it on. Deron Williams went to the Western Conference Finals. He turned out to be good. So the worry trolling was wrong. The people say that all these things about Utah can't win. Utah is one of the winningest franchises in the NBA. They just haven't won a title yet. But they have one of the highest winning percentages as a franchise ever. Now, that's not always a good thing. This is literally the first time in Utah Jazz history they will have won less than 20 games. And did you know they're the only team in the NBA that has never won less than 20 games? The only team. Every other team in the NBA, at least once, and many of them multiple times, have won less than 20 games. And we're going to have multiple teams do that this year. Multiple. So you've got Utah. Looks like New Orleans is past the 20-game mark. Utah is not going to. But we're going to have 3 teams. Maybe Charlotte gets to 20. Maybe. But you're going to have 2 or 3 teams below 20 wins. It's the first time Utah's ever done it. And guess what? Bill Simmons is scared because if Utah gets Cooper Flagg, Utah gets interesting really quick. And if Utah tanks the next year and gets like a Darren Peterson or Cam Boozer or a AJ DeBonsa, I would prefer Darren Peterson or AJ DeBonsa. Then look out. Look out. And we all know the potential of AJ DeBonsa. And if he goes to BYU, it means he's perfectly fine being in Utah, especially if you're perfectly fine going to BYU. Chances are AJ DeBonsa is more than happy to be a part of the Utah Jazz too, because the money is the money, and that's all that really matters. So, chances are Will Hardy's a little tired of losing. I know people are not watching this show as much. People are not clicking on SLZ Dunk quite as much because that's just what happens in a tanking season. People are less engaged. But if we get Cooper Flagg, guess what? The engagement will go through the roof. Through the roof. I am going to be talking Cooper Flagg day in, day out, night in, night out. Can you imagine how fun Summer League will be with Cooper Flagg on the Utah Jazz? Can you imagine? I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to go and be there in the stadium and share in the joy with everyone else watching Cooper Flagg play for the first time. And some of these things, and I'm sure it's hinting at it from Bill Simmons, I don't know if Vegas Summer League is ever going to get shortened or taken away, but I can tell you right now, I think that the model that the Jazz have with Salt Lake City Summer League is perfect. You get to watch 3 games of your new draft pick, and it's enough to get a really good flavor, a good taste, but it's also not too much. Las Vegas Summer League gets like too long. It just does. It gets so long. So anyways, Gabriel, I agree. We need Cooper Flagg in Utah. The NBA needs Cooper Flagg in Utah because the NBA needs the Jazz to be good. Because when the Jazz are good, the ratings are up. It's just a fact. Number 1 rated NBA Finals of all time was Michael Jordan against the Utah Jazz. So, should we credit Michael Jordan with that? Yes, but I'm going to give some credit to the Utah Jazz because you know what everyone loves to hate? They love to hate a good villain. Nothing makes a better story than a really good villain, right? We've talked about this before. Star Wars ain't Star Wars without Darth Vader, right? And if the NBA has a villain like John Stockton and Karl Malone, everyone used to be so mad at Karl Malone for winning the MVP over Michael Jordan. Well, it'll be really fun to watch Cooper Flagg win an MVP over, Luka Doncic in LA. Oh, mama. How fun would that be? Giving a MVP to Utah again, when I'm sure there's going to be some player out there that they want to just, instead of Victor Wembanyama, give it to Cooper Flagg. Oh, mama. Can you imagine the anger and hate? And it would just feed me. Feed me. I would eat all of the hate. It would feed me like you wouldn't believe. All right, let's talk about this game a tiny bit. It was a tale of two halves again. It seems like something that the Utah Jazz are doing. The first half, they seem to be playing pretty well. This one, they were up at one point by like double digits. They were knocking shots down, playing pretty good defense. And then the second half, they just got the doors blown off. And that's the one that Will Hardy was talking about. But there were a few things. I think Cody Williams in the first half had his best first half of the season. 8 points, 2 for 5 from 3, showed some things, an assist, rebound. He has some moments. The Jazz lost by like 37, like got destroyed, and he's a minus 13. That's a win. If you're looking for Cody Williams signs, that's a win. Filipowski continues to be has had the best rookie season for the Jazz. 4 for 6 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, 2 rebounds. Just 24 minutes for him. They really spread the minutes out here. It's interesting. Who led in minutes? Cody Williams and Walker Kessler. Interesting. Walker Kessler, 3 for 6 from the field, 7 points, 9 rebounds. He plays just 28 minutes. Solid stuff, 2 blocks, 1 steal. Walker Kessler is just an impact player. We got to start talking a little bit about what we're going to do contract-wise for Kessler. But as far as just as a rotation starting center, he's really, really good. That's just a fact. The problem is Utah's nowhere near competing yet right now, and so they've got some questions to answer about his contract. But I tell you what, I'm more likely to be happy keeping Kessler on the books at a certain amount than Markkanen, because this Jazz team isn't winning much better when Markkanen plays, and so if you can get more picks, and it's just a reminder, Kyle Filipowski having the best rookie year was the one picked in the second round. So when people say, oh, you can't have too many young guys, foolishness. That's not correct. Guess what? Every single time you draft, there is a dice being rolled, and you never know when you're going to get a player that outplays or just absolutely takes things to another level that you didn't expect. And so you're more likely to get those players at the top. It's why the Jazz are tanking, but you never know when that player at, 12 or 16, if the Jazz get lucky with the Wolves pick, turns into a Donovan Mitchell or a Rudy Gobert or AK-47 or Kyle Filipowski, or, sometimes you hit. That's why it's like if you can get more picks and build, that's great. Utah does not have their superstar yet, so it doesn't really matter. In reality, all of this is like, we're watching these players to see who ends up playing next to the superstar. I don't think anyone is fooling themselves into thinking the Jazz have the superstar on their team right now. If you do, you're entitled to your opinion, but I would disagree wholeheartedly with you on that. Colin Sexton played just 17 minutes tonight. 5 assists, 3 rebounds. This is good tanking. So, that's why I'm taking Will Hardy's comments with a grain of salt. I mean, I'm glad that Hardy's bought in. But if he, I don't know. I don't always know what to take. He might just be crazy. I don't know what to take from him. Of course, he's going to say he's frustrated and wants to win. So the comments are interesting. I'm not taking too much from what Will Hardy said tonight. But anyways, Colin Sexton only played 17 minutes. They probably rest him to lose the game. I don't know. But then they really lost the game. There's a few things, a few notifications. I got a notification on my phone. There's a few things I really liked from this game. 2 points that I just noticed. And this is all with Will Hardy's comments, so maybe I'm just wrong and Will Hardy knows more about what's going on with the team than I do, because I'm like you. I'm just watching the team. But just my observations. Collier shot 4 for 8 from 3, and his form looks good to me. It looks good. I think Collier can turn into a good shooter. And if he does, he becomes a really nice player at the point guard. I don't know if he's an all-star. There's a little bit of a ceiling there with him being like 6'3" or whatever he is. But he is an incredible passer. Tonight just gets just 4 assists and 6 turnovers. That's too many. And who knows? Maybe that's what Will Hardy's talking about. This right here. Maybe. Could that be what Will Hardy's talking about? Maybe. Because guess what? That's the biggest turnover margin than anyone by far. So it could be. Before people jump on Keontae George, which seems to be everyone's favorite player to jump on, could be that right there. Boom. But the good thing is Isaiah Collier going 4 for 8 from 3 and 7 for 13 from the field. This is great. Remember at the beginning of the year, I didn't know if he could shoot at all. Now he's going 4 for 8 from 3. That's pretty great. And the fact that he took 8 of them, that's a big deal. That means he's confidently shooting it. And that's something that this last 9 games is allowing these players to do, is to take shots that you wouldn't normally take. We saw that with Walker Kessler, who, by the way, 1 for 1 from 3 tonight. Pretty cool. So I think Walker Kessler can turn into a stretch big. If he can, then that changes my opinion on how, if I'm happy to pay him $30 million. That's guys, the $30 million range, that's like Kristaps Porzingis money. I know that the Thunder overpaid Hartenstein. That's kind of what you got to do, but you're looking at someone what's his name? I just said his name. Porzingis. So I don't know. That's a lot of money, but if he can stretch the floor, then he might be worth it. And one thing we're seeing too with him shooting the 3 is he's driving to the basket pretty well. Like that kind of the move the other night where he kind of drove to the basket, did kind of a back him down spin move, and then scored at the rim. I mean, that was pretty impressive stuff. And that's one thing I noticed tonight is when he shoots that 3 at the top of the 3-point line, it does allow him to drive. And he does have a little bit of a back to the basket game. And he showed that he could use it when he's going to the basket. So I don't know. This is really interesting to watch. And if Kessler can do this, it gets really interesting. Keontae George. Okay, so 1 for 8 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. Not good. Not good. But what I did like, and if you watched the game and watched closely, he's taking less bad shots. Isaiah Collier took 13 shots. Sexton took 10 in 17 minutes. In 22 minutes, Keontae George took 8. And you could see him trying to not take bad shots. So yeah, would it be a better world if Keontae George was hitting these shots? Absolutely. And we're all rooting for him to just get better, because if you're a Jazz fan, you should be rooting for the Jazz players to get better, right? That's what Jazz fans should do. But what I do like is him actually taking less shots and just taking better shots that he knows he can make. And it's going to be interesting to watch next year where he falls, because he's coming off the bench. I think he can absolutely be a really nice 6th man. And as the Jazz start filling out this roster, we'll see how things fall. But I am impressed with him taking less shots. He is not just gunning it, which he definitely was at times, for a lot of the season when it started. Now it's more him picking his spots, trying to make the right play, trying to take the right shot. It's just good experience. Oscar Tshiebwe played 17 minutes and only had 3 rebounds. I was kind of shocked. The rebounding wasn't as good. I don't know if he's tired, injured, or, playing against Edey and Jaren Jackson kind of made that tough. Probably a little bit of both. But I'm just surprised. He's such a good rebounder. He only got 3. KJ Martin took the worst 3 in NBA history. In fact, do you guys want to watch it? They don't have it up. Doggone it. But go look it up. It's online right now. It was a bad miss. It only made it halfway. So it's worth going and checking out. Bryce Sensabaugh, also a player Will Hardy might be talking about. 21 minutes, minus 17. Yes, he shot the ball well, and he did have 5 assists, so maybe not. There are some things that he's showing that are really nice, but I don't know. I think Bryce Sensabaugh and Johnny Juzang played just as bad a defense as anyone else on the team. Oh, these guys were hitting threes, that's for sure. Crazy stuff. And some of these things might be because, we're all watching the game. Utah knows their offensive sets. They know their defensive sets. They know their defensive schematics, what you're supposed to do in each situation, yada, yada. On offense, it's the same way. Their plays, but they've got, I'm sure, multiple offensive systems they're running. They know better than us who's running it right, who's not. And yeah, ESPN posted the miss. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Lots of foul. I don't know if there's any one player that Will Hardy's talking about or if it's a collection of players. I don't know. But it was a bad second half, and I'm guessing it was because of the defensive effort. You could just see it was not good effort defensively. And, maybe you got to be a little bit compassionate to these players where you're just losing a lot of games and it's hard to, try 100% all game when you're getting destroyed. But you know what? Those players that do are the ones that you appreciate. And so it would be nice to see this team have a little bit more strength in these second halves, because the last two games Utah's been just absolutely destroyed in the second half. Yes, Utah wants to lose these games. It's why they're playing the players they are. So this is all by design. But it would be nice to see a little bit more impact from the players. It's kind of a tough ask, to be honest. It's tough. But these guys are getting paid millions of dollars. You should probably expect the guys you're paying millions of dollars to give a little more effort, right? And I tell you what, we've talked about this before. And the thing I liked about what Will Hardy said is that there are a lot of players that would have done things differently. Every single guy here, and I'm talking everyone, even Filipowski, who's playing really well, Collier, Keontae, Sensabaugh, Juzang, all the young players, Cody Williams. The NBA is unforgiving. It is unforgiving. And if you have not proven yourself to be a player they want to have next to Cooper Flagg or Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper, whoever the Jazz draft, it is very quick, the exit of the NBA. You will find yourself learning Chinese real fast, buddy. If you don't show that you're a player that improves and plays hard and gets better every year. Because guess what? There is a new crop of players coming in next year, and Utah's getting at least two of their own. And I wouldn't be surprised if Utah trades to get into this draft again. Why not? Why not? I mean, I was saying I would be more than happy to trade Lauri Markkanen plus our Lakers pick to get into the top 8, right? I would do that. Would you guys do that? Let me know in the comments. Maybe you're telling me I'm crazy, but I would love to build around these young players and get there and get VJ Edgecombe. Especially if there's something there. If Utah wins the number 1 pick and gets Cooper Flagg, I would absolutely be so all in trading our Wolves pick, the Lakers pick, and Lauri Markkanen to get to number 4 and take if Ace Bailey's there at 4 or something like that, I would think about it. You guys tell me, though. After just telling you that we should use all our picks, right? But I love VJ Edgecombe. I love Cooper Flagg. Could you imagine a team of Cooper Flagg, VJ Edgecombe, Taylor Hendricks, Walker Kessler? That's a good defensive team pretty fast. And then you go bad next year, you get another top 3 pick. If you get lucky, you get AJ DeBonsa. I mean, come on. Come on. That's an awesome team. So anyways, those are my thoughts for tonight, guys. I think that's everything. Let's start the music. And Utah, one thing I'm really happy about is it does feel like Utah is really locked in that number 2 pick. Let's just refresh this. Charlotte lost just barely, actually. They found a way to lose this last game, but Utah is 2.5 games up on them. If Utah loses to Charlotte next week, it's on lock. Hey! Oh my gosh! Danish Destroyer still loves you. $20. Ah, just Josh and you podcast. Thank you so much for the donation. I super appreciate it. And I love you, Danish Destroyer. Just Josh and you podcast. Ah, that makes me so happy. I really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. And especially just Josh and you podcast, man. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. All right, let's see. So anyways, like I was saying, after just thank you so much. That's such a generous donation, just Josh and your podcast. Danish Destroyer, the man. Utah's, for the most part, got this 2 locked in. If they lose to Charlotte, it's over. They have locked in a top 2 shot in the lottery. And I think if Utah comes out with a top 4 pick, I'm really happy. Because there's 4 players in this draft I think can be real building blocks. I love VJ Edgecombe. So if Utah gets 4 and the worst you get is VJ Edgecombe, that's incredible. Anyways, so Utah's got 9 games left, guys, and then lottery's coming. That's going to be phenomenal. All right, if the lottery was today... All right, I think we're back. Okay, that was horrible. That was so horrible. Worst time ever to drop. All right, let's go to the mock. Let's see. What would no! Well, the Bulls go to number 1. The Pelicans get 2 and Jazz get 3. I'm so happy with that. So absolutely fine with that. That means we're either getting Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, or VJ Edgecombe. Kind of based off of what the Pelicans do. The Bulls getting Cooper Flag sucks, but it is what it is. They'll go with... Oh, never mind. But anyways, they'll have Cooper Flag. Good for them. I'm just glad it's not the Spurs, right? And then the Wizards fall below us and get BJ. All right, let's give a shout out to our All-Stars. Thank you again, just Josh and your pod, Danish Destroyer. I thank you so much. Love you guys. Let me refresh this really quick. I hope we don't run out of music. Oh, we're good. Let me just pull this up. Let's go. All-Star, baby. All right, let's give a shout out to Robert, Hall of Fame, Christian House Money to Haas, Cam Bam, thank you, ma'am, Ryan Edward Perry, the legend, I Believe in Steve, Jazz Exile, Baby Elliot Matson, see ya, Lexolator, Jordan the Goat, Bessroll, Austin R. Grant, Editor Extraordinaire, KG10 to TH5, the OG, and Patrick Akubo, the Connoisseur, and a special shout out to the Danish Destroyer. Thank you so much. Guys, like and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to join and be one of the All-Stars or be a part of the chat during the live stream, just hit join. I would appreciate it. The lottery is coming. Utah has their best chance in team history to win it all and get that